Good evening and welcome to the May 13th, 2024 regular City Council meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lee?
Here.
Councilmember Nomura?
Here.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Here.
Vice Mayor Alarcon?
Here.
And Mayor Clark.
Here, thank you. And now will you kindly join me in this Pledge of Allegiance?
Wait. Oh, do we need to? Excuse me, Mayor Clark. We also need to adjourn out of closed session.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry about that,
Yeah,
everyone.
no, so we're reconvening from closed session. And do we have a report?
Thank you, Mayor Clark. We are reconvening at a closed session where we were conferencing with real property negotiators in regards to 801 Linden Avenue, and there's no reportable action this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Now, if you can reassume that position. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Huh. There's the agenda here has a closed session report after the, oh yeah, well, yeah, okay. No, that's right. Never mind. All right, so we have a couple proclamations and presentations tonight. The first one is, oops, in reverse order we are. Proclamation of the City Council, City Carpinteria proclaiming May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Carpinteria. And if we could get Councilmember Lee, soon to be Supervisor Lee, to lead us off, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is a time to recognize the significant contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who serve as leaders in business, government, law, education, science, athletics, the arts, and many other fields, and to bring awareness to the violence and hatred that this community has to endure and continues to endure. And
whereas in 1978, a joint congressional resolution established Asian Pacific American Heritage Week to celebrate two historical milestones in Asian Pacific American history: the arrival of the first Japanese immigrants to the United States, which occurred on May 7, 1843, and the significant contributions of Chinese workers in the building of the Transcontinental Railroad that was completed on May 10, 1869. And
whereas generations of brave women and men made the dangerous voyage across the Pacific Ocean to seek better lives and opportunities for their families and children, and in the process have contributed greatly to the economic prosperity and cultural legacy of the communities throughout California and the United States. And
whereas, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the AAPI community is 6.4% of Santa Barbara County's population. And
whereas Carpinteria's history is intertwined with Asian American families who contributed to the early growth and success of agriculture in Carpinteria Valley, and were some of the founders of Carpinteria community that helped to establish and success of the city of Carpinteria.
now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Carpinteria hereby declares the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the City of Carpinteria, and calls on all residents of the city to join in and bring awareness of the issues affecting the AAPI community and celebrate the many contributions of AAPI community members.
I move for approval or acceptance of the proclamation.
Thank you.
a second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll say aye. Aye. All right. Do we have somebody that is going to receive this here? Oh, we do. Do we want to go down and meet? Second. We'll present this to you and then ask you if you.
Oh, you want me to? The top of your head is in the, projector, heads up, things funky in the photo. Okay, shoulders, shoulders, shoulders. That's beautiful. Okay, everybody look here. One more. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Or do I just, okay. All right, thank you. Hello, Mayor Clark and City Council members. Thank you for continuing to support the recognition of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. My name is Libby Locke. I am a resident here in Carpinteria. I'm a mother of 2 young children. I'm a 6th-generation Chinese American, and I represent the Santa Barbara Asian American Pacific Islander Solidarity Network. According to a newspaper article in Coast View News printed in October 1st, 2020, titled "The Chinese Presence in Carpinteria," it is thought that Chinese arrived in Carpinteria in 1876. In the 1860s, Chinese laborers were recruited to build the western half of the Transcontinental Railroad, many signing multiple-year contracts. At its completion, they returned to California to find more work. 2 Chinatowns were located in Carpinteria, one on the corner of Linden Ave and Dorrance Way, and another west of Linden on Coast Highway. Also, many local ranches had Chinese quarters. What is missing from the article are a few things. Most Carpinteria Chinese residents were men due to the Page Act of 1875 that banned Chinese women from immigrating, preventing the settlement of families. 5 years later, in 1880, California, along with many other states, passed a civil code restricting Chinese from marrying whites. And then in 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act was passed, creating a ban on Chinese labor immigration to the U.S., the first significant law restricting immigration to the U.S. As stated in this article and in many articles about this period of time, there is not much known about who they were. There is a invisibility except for how they were treated on a broad scale as a workforce. Today, in the U.S., AAPIs represent over 30 countries and ethnic groups that speak over 100 different languages. It is the fastest growing racial group in the U.S. and in California. As I walk around Carpinteria, I can chat with Vietnamese nail salon technicians, Bangladeshi waiters on Linden Ave, Japanese Americans working in agriculture, a Pakistani daycare owner, Thai restaurateurs, Korean Americans in tech, Filipinos in education, and many more. The Asian American Pacific Islander community is very broad and diverse and cannot be generalized. Some in our community are among the most educated and successful, as parts of our community fall way behind. Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Vietnamese, Thai, Hmong, and Cambodians all have higher poverty rates than the national average. High school dropout rates among Southeast Asian Americans is staggering. 38% do not complete high school. Only 14% of Pacific Islanders have bachelor's degrees in comparison with the 27% of the total population and 49% of the Asian American population. In a Gallup poll, 30% of AAPIs surveyed reported incidents of employment discrimination, the largest in any group, with African Americans constituting the second largest at 26%. In another study, 1 out of 5 AAPIs experienced discrimination in the rental and home buying process. These types of community issues are obscured by our invisibility within public policy. Collecting disaggregated data in the AAPI community has been a growing movement at the national and state level. As the City of Carpinteria collects and analyzes data in the community, I hope you'll consider how broad and diverse our community is and use the White House initiative on AAPIs as a resource and roadmap. There is a lot more to be said, unpacked, researched, learned, shared, but for now, I'll say thank you again for helping us celebrate the long and deep contributions of AAPIs and bringing visibility to our community. Please keep the Santa Barbara Asian American Pacific Islander Solidarity Network in mind as a community partner.
Thank you. And thank you for that information. Those are staggering statistics. The second proclamation we have is designating May 2024 as Community Action Month and on the occasion of Communify's 57th anniversary.
Mayor, and out of an abundance of caution, I will be recusing myself from this proclamation as Communify is my employer. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, we'll start off with Councilmember Lee reading the proclamation.
Yes, sir. Whereas Communify is a part of Nationwide Community Action Network, which has made important contributions to individuals and families across the United States by creating economic opportunities and strengthening communities. And
Whereas Communify was incorporated in May 1967 as a private nonprofit organization devoted to creating opportunities for families to achieve economic stability as an essential aspect of enabling and enhancing a stronger and more resilient Santa Barbara County, and
Whereas since its inception, Communify has provided vital services for the most vulnerable members of our community, expanded its programs, and added locations throughout Santa Barbara County to make assistance available to all of our neighbors who might need it. And
Whereas Communify serves thousands of low-income residents of all ages, offers prenatal services for pregnant women, high-quality childcare, preschool programs, and medical, dental, and health screening for children through the age of 5, parenting education workshops, mentoring and tutoring programs for teens, job training programs, home energy programs to reduce utility expenses, weatherization services, and programs to keep our seniors safe in their homes. And
whereas Communify has improved countless lives and continues to work towards ending poverty in Carpinteria and the rest of Santa Barbara County.
now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Carpinteria hereby declares the month of May 2024 as Community Action Month and congratulates Communify on its milestone 57th anniversary and thanks its directors, board, staff, and volunteers for their much appreciated contributions to the Santa Barbara County community.
I move for approval.
All right,
I'll second.
great. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor, do you want to do a voice vote?
No, we'll just, yeah, with the, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, do we have somebody from the community to receive this? Yeah, thanks. Thank you. All right, would you like to say a few words? Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor Clark and City Council members. My name is Pat Keelan. I'm CEO for Communify, and I'm so pleased to be here this evening. You know, we are so lucky to live in this beautiful community and make it our home. But not everyone is as fortunate as we are to experience Santa Barbara County the way that we do. According to the Public Policy Institute of California, or PPIC, Santa Barbara County has the second highest rate of poverty, 16.9%, second only to Yolo County. That translates into 1 in 6 people living at or below the poverty line. That means for a family of 4, their annual income is roughly $39,000 and some change. Our child poverty rate is even higher at 19.5%, meaning that 1 in 5 children in Santa Barbara County are living at or below the poverty line. Because poverty is such a complex issue and there is no one-size-fits-all solution, Communify offers 16 different programs and services to help them stabilize and become more self-sufficient. Since 1967, Communify has served Santa Barbara County's most vulnerable residents, including youth, families, and seniors from cradle to end of life. Our programs include early education through Head Start, which offers quality childcare, nutritious meals, family wellness support, and vision, hearing, and dental screenings. Communify not only prepares children for kindergarten and lifelong success, but also helps to support the healthy development of middle and high school students. For those youth and families who need additional support, we offer mentoring and behavioral health services. We also promote upward mobility through financial literacy training, as well as provide rent and energy assistance, as well as weatherization services. And we help our vulnerable seniors age gracefully at home by providing energy-efficient appliances, upgrades, minor home repairs, and other safety device installation to help them be more independent in their homes. Finally, our 211 helpline program is there for all residents 24/7, connecting over 13,000 people to Health and Human Services every year in over 150 languages. We are so pleased to work in partnership with the City of Carpinteria every day to provide these critical services and are very honored to receive this recognition for Community Action Month. Together, we will continue to empower people and transform their lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, the next one is a proclamation designating May 19th through 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week in the city of Carpinteria. And so we will ask Councilmember Lee to start us off again.
Whereas National Public Works Week is an annual observance to celebrate the tens of thousands of individuals who work on public works, including infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital to sustainable and resilient communities and support health, safety, and quality of life all across North America. And
Whereas public works could not be provided without the commitment, dedication, and technical expertise of the public works personnel employed at all levels of government and the private sector to plan, design, construct, operate, and maintain the nation's transportation infrastructure, public facilities, public spaces, public services, public resources and conservation, and fleet and equipment. And
Whereas in 1960, the United States Senate adopted a resolution affirming the first National Public Works Week, and
Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed the Presidential Proclamation of National Public Works Week, and
Whereas in 2003, President George W. Bush defined through Homeland Security Presidential Directive 8 the terms first responder to also include public works personnel, and
whereas as first responders in accordance with HSPD 8, public works personnel are among those responsible for the protection and preservation of life, property, and evidence, and environment during those critical early stages of incident response. And
whereas in November 2017, the Board of Directors of the American Public Works Association passed a motion to launch a campaign to promote public works personnel as first responders and approved the adoption of the Public Works First Responder symbol as shown in the proclamation.
whereas on May 11th, 2020, the Carpinteria City Council designated the Public Works First Responder symbol, as shown herein, as a permanent official City of Carpinteria symbol for city public works personnel in acknowledgement of their duties as a first responder to be affixed to City Public Works personnel uniforms, vehicles, and equipment, and
Whereas, as first responders, city public works personnel were called upon to respond to emergencies, including the COVID-19 pandemic and winter storms, and
Whereas in the year 2024, hold on, did I get this right? Yeah, whereas in the year 2024 marks the 64th anniversary of National Public Works Week and is sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association, and
Whereas it is in the public's interest for the carpenter community to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works.
now therefore the City Council of the City of Carpinteria hereby designates the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week in the City of Carpinteria. And
move for approval?
thank you so much.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, do we have somebody to receive that here?
Yes, council members, Mr. Mayor, thank you on behalf of the Public Works Department and all Public Works personnel. Your city council has been recognizing this National Public Works Week since 2020 of this month. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to our Public Works Supervisor, Robert Howard.
Mayor, council, everybody in the audience, thanks for recognizing us for this week. The guys work hard, even our staff up in the office do great. We really enjoy what we do here, and we take very much pride in that public works first responder for the city of Carpinteria. Thank you again.
We go, everybody look here. Smiling, happy.
All right, next we have a introduction of new employees. And who's going to do that?
That will be me, Mayor.
Okey dokey.
Mayor, council, whoa, our mics are, no one can complain about them being too low today. Check, check, check. Yes, so we have 4 introductions to do today and more at our next council meeting. I'm going to start off with our new aquatics coordinator. I'll run through a description, and then if they can come up to the podium and maybe share a few words. So first we have Kaylin Pena. She's our new aquatics coordinator. She comes to us, and I'll start off by saying she's an additional coordinator to the one that we have. There was a little bit of news that broke out when we had a new coordinator that our old coordinator was leaving us, and that was not the case. We have 2 coordinators now in that position, and she comes to us with 6 years of service in public sector, including head lifeguard and swim coach. Currently with the City of Ventura Aquatic Center, most recently, now with us, of course. And her duties as a head lifeguard included overseeing and monitoring the daily activities of the aquatic staff and programs. She's also worked as a camp director for a private swim school, where she oversaw swim camps, performed lifeguarding and swim instructions, and she is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in business management, and we're very fortunate to have her. If I can have her come up, Kaylin Pena.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I've been meeting people slowly over the last 2 weeks, and everybody's been very welcoming.
I'm very excited to be here, and I look forward to learning everything about the community. I grew up coming to the beaches and going camping here, so I'm very excited to learn about the inner workings of everything here. So thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have you.
Next up, we have a duo. During the past months, the city conducted outside recruitments, and Jenna Jenkins was selected as our recreation coordinator for senior services, and Amy Stanfield was selected for the recreation leader in senior services. So Jenna is a communication specialist whose heart lies in storytelling, coming to us from the library. She has a knack for bringing groups together and building understanding through programming. Jenna also currently serves as the Vice President of the Carpinteria Summerlin Fire Protection District Board of Directors, and she holds a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in counseling psychology. Amy brings with her a wealth of experience and lots of enthusiasm, with a background in programming and working at the Community Arts Center and her after-school art lessons. She is definitely coming armed with creativity and innovation. In addition, her experience as general management at our local health food store has equipped her with strong leadership and management skills. Coincidentally, you might recognize Amy's featured on the front page of this week's Coastal View issue commemorating Mother's Day. And so we are very happy to have both Jenna Jenkins and Amy Stanfield as part of our new Age Well Senior Services team. If I can have them come up.
Welcome
Thank
aboard.
You so much. Thank you, Michael. I just wanted to take a second to actually thank council, because we are just so honored to be a part of this community that's so well deserving. And there was such hard work put in to lay down some foundation by some wonderful community members, and both of us are honored to have that baton passed to us. So we're confident that as a team with the city and all of us, that we can, and the community, make Age Well something that this community can be proud of for many, many generations. And we're really looking forward to doing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And also, we have our new assistant city manager, Ryan Kintz. Ryan spent the last 4 years with the city of Goleta as their assistant to the city manager. Prior to that, Ryan spent 7 years with the city of Ventura in several different roles, including environmental specialist, management analyst, and the interim code enforcement manager. During his time with Goleta, Ryan's leadership in developing their recent sales tax measure has generated a significant amount of revenue for vital city services in Goleta. He also played a vital role in creating their community-driven 5-year strategic plan to guide Goleta's future policy decisions. Ryan holds a master's degree from UCSB's Bren School of Environmental Science and has 2 bachelor's degrees from UCSB in environmental studies and physical geography. If I can bring up Mr. Ryan Kintz.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Mayor, council members, thank you, Michael, for the kind introduction. Super excited to be here. This job, the assistant city manager, is a dream job for me, and it's a dream job in a dream city. Just a fantastic community with fantastic people, amazing staff here at the city of Carpinteria. So I'm just so excited to be here. Really looking forward to serving this community and serving our council and working together to uplift this community. So really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
And not new, but if I can have Teresa Elassine in the back stand, she's the one responsible for getting all of these people hired and onboarded and recruited. And so shout out to Teresa for all of her hard work. Thank you. You got to speak at the mic.
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor, members of the council, I just want to add that I don't do this alone. There's a team of us. Ryan, welcome. Kaylin, welcome. Amy and Jenna, welcome. And they wouldn't be here without the help that I get from our city manager, Michael, and also our HR assistant, Javier. So it's a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes my introductions for today.
All right, now it's time for the temporary adjournment for the purpose of holding the monthly meeting of the Carpinteria Library Board of Trustees. All right, well, now that everybody's here, we'll call the meeting to order, and may we please have a roll call?
So President Clark, all board members are present and accounted for?
And has the agenda been legally noticed?
It has.
Okay. Now it's time for public comment on items not on the Library Board of Trustees agenda for this evening. Is there any public comment? Up, I think I see one. Do I? Up. Welcome.
Thank you. Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident for half a century. Sorry, I've been out for probably 3 weeks or so. COVID is still out there, so be careful. And first, I would like to thank the city for the inauguration of the dog park in Carpinteria, the Monte Vista Park, and it's just wonderful. I walk every day for years, and now for the last 2-3 weeks, I go by the fence of the dog park and I say hi. And it's incredible the way that dogs can socialize, small, big, but they all play together and run together, and owners socialize there. And again, thank you so much to each one of you. Great idea and great future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And Mayor Clark, just to confirm or clarify, it's general public comment. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it's general public comment for the board sitting as the Library Board of Trustees.
Right.
Right. So I just wanted to clarify that before everyone else started coming up.
Thank you. Any additional comment on items not on the Library Board of Trustees agenda? All right. Seeing none, is there any thing on Zoom there, Brian?
There are no Zoom speakers.
All right, thank you. We'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the approval of minutes. And if I can have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, Brian. And now we'll go to the May 2024 Community Library Report, please.
Good evening, President Clark and Board of Trustees. I have with me today Eric Castro, who is our Outreach Community Specialist. What is your title? Community Engagement Specialist. And I have a few things that I wanted to just point out to you about what we did this last month. And the first thing on the notes here is the citizenship prep class that we just completed. And I brought Eric along to tell you about it. He was there at every class, and I thought it would be nice to hear from him directly.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much. The citizenship preparation class was held over 4 Saturdays and was facilitated by a volunteer attorney, Tony Seagal, and who speaks to you. Those attending the 4 classes review the 100 possible questions on the exam with an emphasis on historical and civic context, utilizing discussion as the current answers as a primary instruction strategy rather than focusing only on memorization. The series of 4 classes culminated with a visit from 2 immigration specialists from Importa, a non-profit organization authorized by the Department of Justice, who explained the eligibility requirements and mistakes to avoid during the naturalization process. And more importantly, they offer additional pro bono support through the process to anyone referred by the Carpinteria Community Library. In addition, a visit from local law enforcement, thank you, Sheriff Arnoldi, who were there to strengthen relationships between the immigration community and our local sheriff department. The class was conducted in English with clarifications in Spanish when needed. That's all. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
I'd like to ask, how many participants did you have?
We have 12 participants. Yeah, at the beginning, there were 13, but we end 12.
And does the library plan to have this be a recurring program that you hold?
We are planning, thinking in what days and times, because there are more needs, but for different times and days.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it was, we have people from different countries and actually from 3 continents. Yeah.
How many languages?
3, Spanish, Italian, English, 3 languages.
That's great. It's really good to hear about that program. I think it's wonderful that the library is doing that.
Thank you.
And if I could add, Council, there's a nexus here between the library now, it's okay, between the library, our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and then also the Sheriff Department. I always like to brag when 2 or more things come together to make each other better. So our equity practices, our consultant, and they had met internally with our DEI, again, diversity, equity, inclusion team that deals with city policy. And then they also met with our Sheriff's Department, which included Lieutenant Arnoldi and also Commander, correct, Brad Welch? Make sure I had that title correctly. And it was great to have them there. We talked about all the data that's come back through the various focused groups and interviews and community listen sessions that they've had. And most of the feedback regarding our public safety was positive. And so then it comes, how can we do better? Because we don't want to become complacent. And so we talked a lot about, what community policing is and how it's not something that just falls on law enforcement, as Lieutenant Arnoldi's always talking about how important it is the community in reporting. For public works, it might be making sure certain areas remain well lit. For Parks and Recreation, we know that sites that stay activated have less issues there. When sites are not activated, there are issues, and so community policing is a citywide effort. We talked a little bit about not having it, again, not be on one person, because people retire, people get injured, people get transferred to other departments. And so while there was a lot of praise for our community resource deputy, we didn't want to have all of that be on that person's shoulders, because that person could be transferred, and we don't want all of the city's relationships with the communities to be transferred with a single person. And so the conversation turned to our proactive policing, which is when our deputies have that time when they're not out on a call, how are they spending their time? And so community policing, going into that proactive policing time, would be visiting certain businesses, stopping in at the library for an event like that. And so we're going to be working with the sheriffs on providing them a calendar of things going on during the week and on the weekend, so that they can be more involved that way as part of our community policing efforts. This one just couldn't have worked out really any better. The people involved were, during our meeting that we had, they talked about how I don't know, maybe afraid is not that bad of a word, as of dealing with law enforcement. They did not like being in one-on-one settings for various reasons and feelings that they might have. And so I know Eric had to talk to the group beforehand to prepare them for law enforcement coming in. And then when that two deputies arrived, and one of them came in with just a story about his own immigrant parents and was Spanish speaking. And I think it just really couldn't have gone any better in terms of that connection he was able to make with the people that were part of their class. And I think it just like exemplifies what community policing can be when it's very intentional. And I just wanted to just praise Lieutenant Arnaldi and his team for committing to that. And we look forward to them doing that a lot moving forward. Of course, we can't always count on them being there because it's what they can do when they're not out on a call. And so sometimes they may not be able to be there, but when they can, we're really going to be connecting the dots between that and all of our various programs. So just couldn't say anything more for our library team, our diversity equity team, and the sheriffs.
Yeah, I'm going to share one anecdotal comment from one of our participants. He came back to the library 2 days after the event, and he, quote, said, I would like to be a police officer now that I have seen somebody who looks like me. Thank you.
All right. The rest of the report goes like this. The library was invited to partner with and provide library outreach to the Santa Barbara Zoo in April, which is the first time we've been invited there for their El Dia del Niño event. The CARP Library interacted with more than 350 people on the day, sharing the value of public libraries through books, research, where they laid out plans for service changes in the coming year. Carpinteria residents who were in attendance were uniformly voicing their hopes for restoration of the shuttle that is no longer in service. The MTD representative indicated they still have the shuttles themselves, but the cost to operate them runs MTD approximately $200 per hour, including insurance, maintenance, staffing, and fuel. So, barriers to service. Eric Castro will be representing the library at the Carpinteria Children's Project on May 18th for their annual Dia de los Niños event, celebrating children and reading and books. We'll be promoting the library summer reading program, which will run from Monday, June 10th to Friday, August 16th. At the beginning of June, the first week of June, we'll have most of Carpinteria Unified School District students from kindergarten through third grade taking a field trip to the library to learn about summer reading. And we're ready for summer with lots of new books for all ages and plenty of events and programs and weekly prizes for participants. And then lastly, we did run interviews last week for our recruitment for our part-time library tech. We had 27 applications that were received prior to the first review. And we're looking for someone who can fulfill the requirements of the position left open by Jenna and who can provide excellent customer service, offer preschool story time, and new parent support. So, fingers crossed. You have any questions for any of us?
Looks like no. So I guess it's time to adjourn, unless there's any new business or further discussion.
Yeah, real quick, one
Okay.
correction. Item number 4, approval of minutes. I actually was not there. I was en route to the hospital, so somebody else will have to
That's
second that for
right.
me.
Yeah, okay, do we have a, can we just substitute a name as a second? Brian? Who would like to substitute in,
We can reopen that item if we can we'll take it from the start.
okay, so we'll adjourn the Library Board of Trustees. And wait a minute, we're going to do the, sorry. We're going to do the minutes again.
And Councilmember Nomura, you are still allowed to receive and file, to do a receive and file. if
Perfect. We
you
don't have to
would
fix
like,
it.
but-
Okay,
yeah.
done.
All right.
So either works.
Okay.
I'm happy with that. I did read the minutes. so.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Okay, so we will stand adjourned, and we're going to go to the city manager's report, please. I guess we forgot to do the public information reports part. Let's do that first, since Sheriff Arnoldi sat down.
No problem. Mayor,
Excuse me, just making sure we're reconvening the city council meeting.
Okay, yeah, we're adjourning and we're reconvening. Thank you.
how are you now? Still too high. How's it now? Testing, 1, 2, 3. I think we're there. Mayor, City Council, city staff, those present in the audience and those listening at home. Just for the record, the deputy that went and did the library visit is Deputy Lopez, one of our newer deputies. Again, as I stated in our last meeting, I plan on bringing some of our new deputies at the start of the city council meeting. That way council and the public can meet our newer people. Okay, with that, I'll just give you an update on what has gone on the last 3 weeks, since it's been 3 weeks since your last meeting. And I'll start off this last week from May 5th through May 11th. On the 5th of May, we had a vehicle accident at Santa Monica and Villarreal. It was a traffic collision and occurred at that address, and unfortunately, the person that was at fault was an unlicensed driver. So it was cited for the 12500A section. It's also the same day, but on the evening, that Sunday evening, just before midnight, at 5th Street and Elm Street, we had a vandalism to vehicle, or I shouldn't say vandalism, people were observed tampering with parked vehicles. Deputies got on scene, and deputies detained a couple of people. We had the infield lineup. The 2 subjects were positively identified as those that were tampering with vehicles, and those 2 subjects were taken to Santa Barbara County Jail and booked. Also that evening, about 2:30 in the morning, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later, but we had commercial burglary a week before, so naturally deputies were checking the shopping centers, and we had a suspicious vehicle to the rear of IHOP there on Casitas Pass. As soon as the deputy went out on the vehicle took off. We had a high-speed pursuit in excess of 120 miles an hour. The pursuit terminated down in Oxnard area, but the plates on the vehicle were reported as lost or stolen. And I'll get back to the commercial burglary, which happened a couple weeks earlier at Fantastic Sam's here in a minute. So we stand in our cycle here. On Wednesday, May 8th, about 8:30 in the evening, the 5800 block of Villarreal, we had, again, good observation by the patrol sergeant, in this particular case, Sergeant Corbett, our most senior sergeant on patrol. He saw 3 subjects standing at a lock gate at a nursery, wearing dark clothing and hoods over their faces. Inside the backpack was a power grinder and pry tools, so naturally these people were there to intent to burglarize the nursery. And actually, when deputies were there, they heard more rustling in the bushes, and the 3rd suspect was in the bushes. So all 3 were taken into custody basically for conspiracy to commit a burglary because of the burglary tools that they had. So again, good simple observation like that, we prevented a serious crime in our city. We did have a burglary at CVS and Casitas Pass Road there, the 1000 block. That was 9 o'clock. And this was the subject came in. the open business. Subject went directly back, and again, I don't know why they should have called us immediately. Subject walked back into an employee's area only, into the money room, went to the unlocked safe and stole the cash that was in there, as well as 3 or 4 wallets that were in the lost found box, and fled out the back door. Also earlier or later that morning, Carpinteria Creek Via Rail was checked, and 3 subjects were contacted in the bike path, and one of these subjects had a $50,000 felony warrant, $50,000 felony warrant for his arrest for assault with a deadly weapon and terrorist threats. So again, the guys and gals are doing an excellent job. The week of April 28th through May 4th, another vehicle accident about 12:45 in the afternoon, the 1100 block of Casitas Pass Road. We got witnesses, were able to identify the suspect. The victim did not want prosecution, just insurance information so she could get her vehicle repaired. This was the burglary that I had mentioned earlier that happened. That happened on April 30th, which was a Tuesday at a little after 10:30 in the evening, 1090 Casitas Pass. Deputies responded to an alarm as a possible burglary in progress. A security company saw a hole in the wall behind the ATM and flashlights looking in, so subjects were actually on scene. Deputies surrounded the premises, and it was, again, the business was fantastic, Sam's, and checked the rear door and saw that the rear door was unlocked and had pry marks on it. Conducted an interior search, but unable to locate any of the subjects. So by the time deputies got there, they had fled. Carpinteria Fire assisted by bringing their ladder truck so we can gain access to the roof. And we're still investigating that, but nothing appeared to have been taken. So again, timing was excellent with the security company. They're discovering it and calling us like they should. That brings us to April 21st through April 27th. I think there's only a couple items in that time frame. We had, this was Thursday, April 25th, about 6:30 in the morning, 5500 block of Carp Avenue. It was terrorist threats and vandalism. Subject stopped his vehicle in the median of the Carp Avenue, and another subject in another vehicle came out and jumped on his hood unprovoked and was causing vandalism in the hood and actually jumping up and down on the hood. And basically terrorist threats, saying that he was going to kill the guy and his children if he called law enforcement. We were able to get there and take the subject into custody. So another one for the good guys. That is about it for crime-wise. Our Human Resources report. Currently, we have 16 deputy sheriff vacancies and 36 custody deputy vacancies. We have currently in training, we have 6 at the Allen Hancock Basic Academy, and there's 1 still in what we call our field training program. And that is about it for the law enforcement recap. Does council have any questions?
All right, any questions?
Alrighty.
I've got a question. So I got a couple questions. So the nursery burglary, where was that? What kind of nursery was that?
The 5500 block, they didn't put the name down.
Oh, okay. Foothill?
Foothill.
Yeah. Okay. And then the terrorism threat charge. What constitutes terrorism?
Again, it's 422 of the California Penal Code. Anytime you make violent threats that you're going to do bodily harm to somebody, that is classified as terrorist threats, 422 of the California Penal Code. And that's what we like to arrest on.
Okay. All right. Got to update my definition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for your report. Now we'll go to the city manager's report.
Yes, Mayor, Council, and public. I was going to be joined by Nick Bobroff, our Community Development Director. He had to go home sick, so I'm, okay, good. Mindy's going to come help me with that part of it. So again, our city manager's report is for items that are more along the lines of updates. And, you know, I encourage those, I won't read over all of this in detail. I encourage people to open the memo for any details. And if the council has any questions beyond just some small questions, we could certainly bring back any of these items for an agenda matter. But just briefly, for our Age Well programming, they have a Saturday excursions program, and on May 4th, 16 participants attended a private tour of the Alcazar Theater that was provided by co-founder, I should have asked for the pronunciation, Asa? Oh, Asa. Osa. I definitely should have asked. Osa Olson. And that tour is part of, again, Age Well Saturday Excursion Program. It was a huge success, and there's a great picture of them in the report. There's also a senior lecture series that's taking place on Thursdays, and they'll start at 9:30 a.m. at the Veterans Hall. And I'm just going to give you titles here. They're very interesting titles. You're going to want to look up the details. On May 16th, the series or the lecture series will be Don't Waste Your Waste. May 23rd, Age Proofing Your Home. And May 30th, Amazing Birds Right in Your Backyard. So again, I encourage people to look into those. And once again, those are on Thursdays beginning at 9:30 a.m. at Vets Hall. Couple of recruitment updates. The Parks, Recreation, and Community Service Director is set to start in 7 days. Sorry, I almost added 10. 7 days. And we have an accounting technician position. We conducted some interviews on the 17th, and that's still pending a selection. As Jody mentioned earlier, our library technician interviews were conducted on the 8th and 10th, and I still encourage people to submit applications, and that is also, I'm sure they're considering the applicants there as well. We have a Parks and Facility attendant that actually started today, and that Parks and Facility attendant position is going to provide a on-site host services for people that are renting at the Vets Hall. Which is something that they haven't had before, and so they'll help set up, they'll help clean up afterwards. It'll save the city money from sending a cleaning group after, and there'll be improved customer service there. So, and we're still looking for more, assuming that the one we have is not going to be open every Saturday for rentals. And so we're still recruiting for that. Encourage people to apply for a really great weekend position. And then also our part-time lifeguards, summer seasonal, and our swim coach positions are open, and I encourage people to visit our city website for more details there. Adult softball. The Carpinteria Adult Softball Co-ed League kicks off on Thursday, June 6th. Games will take place at Viola Fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays beginning at 5:40 p.m. League fees are $350 per team and include 8 to 10 games plus an end-of-season single elimination tournament. Reynaldo Cardenas is the person that continues to lead that program, and interested players should contact Reynaldo directly. His phone number is 805-453-2089, and registration closes on May 31st. We also had a household goods and hazardous waste day. If you happen to drive down Carpinteria Ave that day, it was hard to miss. There were a total of 250 cars that showed up for the household goods disposal, and 162 for the hazardous waste disposal. And so that was, I think, one of the most successful days that we've had, and just was really great to be able to do that. Later, or that same day, we had the, I guess it wasn't later, but around the same time, we had the Carpinteria Bluffs restoration. and again on May 4th, and the Rotary Club of Carpinteria noontime, and dedicated members of the community came out to remove invasive species and plant natives, contributing to a now total 3,000 square feet of restored area from these two events. And there will be another opportunity to volunteer for that on Saturday, May 18th, from 9 a.m. to noon. For information, you may contact Lindsay Erdman, and her email and information as part of this report. And the last two before I turn it over to Mindy here. Cyclemania Mayor's Ride. So Mayor, I'm not sure what you're going to be out there riding, but I'll be there to see. Join the Cyclemania Mayor's Ride, a celebrated highlight of National Bike Month. Mark your calendar, Friday, May 17th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And this event will start at our Santa Claus Lane bike path that is at the west end of Carpinteria Avenue. Again, see this report for more information and email. And then that's going to be followed up to continue the spirit of Cyclemania. Join the Carpinteria group loop ride to promote the significance of alternative transportation and healthy physical activity, as well as highlight the natural beauty of Carpinteria. That is Saturday, May 25th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the event will start at parking lot number 3, also known as Carpinteria Railroad Station 499 London Avenue. And now I'll turn it over to Mindy Fogg, Principal Planner, to discuss a couple things community development related. Starting at the rezones. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. Well, on the County of Santa Barbara housing element rezones, we've all been closely following. They had their final approval hearings April 30th and May 3rd, and we wrote a letter, another letter recommending that they not rezone the unincorporated sites just outside of the city. And we also attended that hearing. Mayor Clark attended as well, and I zoomed in. And I know that they heard us, but they chose to rezone those sites based on the need for their arena. And the next steps in that process will be that all 3 of those rezones have to still be certified by the Coastal Commission. So they will be, if they haven't already, they will be submitting those to the Coastal Commission, and we intend to continue monitoring that process because they are not considered rezoned until the Coastal Commission certifies those. And so if there is a Coastal Commission hearing, we intend to participate in that as well, but anything can happen next. Then moving on, we had at the April 22nd City Council hearing, we had a annual progress report on our general plan implementation, and there were a number of public questions that we needed some time to be able to formulate answers. And so those are provided here along with the questions in the staff report. For the sake of brevity, I won't go over each question and the answer, but I'll just summarize that the general plan was adopted in 2003, and we continue to implement it in what the city's actions are and what development actions there are. And then we also report on that on an annual basis. These were great questions, but a lot of them actually are addressed in documents outside of the general plan, and so that's described here. And also some of them will be addressed in our general plan update that we are working on, the comprehensive update to that. And then finally, there was a question about the Joint Development Review Committee and its status. And we do intend to reconvene that DRC again this year when we update, well, not update, but draft the downtown objective design guidelines overlay. And so that DRC is convened on an as-needed basis, and we intend to do that again later this year. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Yeah, I had a couple quick questions about the county housing element. So in terms of the county rezones, is that on the same timeline as our city rezones? Or how do those timelines work with each other?
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Solorzano, they are on the same cycle as us for their housing element. So they do have to maintain sites that will accommodate their regional housing needs throughout the cycle, same as us. They are a little ahead of us, though, in the sense that they are already getting their rezones done. But overall, it's the same time frame, if that answers your question.
Yeah, and do we know when the Coastal Commission might be taking up the county rezones? Do we have any sense of like what meeting that would be at, or what month, or when that would take place?
No, it could be as soon as in a couple of months, or it could be a couple of years. It's really hard to tell. It's going to depend on what concerns or issues the Coastal Commission, first their staff, and then their staff, when their issues are addressed, they'll formulate a recommendation to the commission, and we're not sure when they would take that up.
Okay, and then in the instance that some of those rezones are not approved by Coastal Commission, what would the county's options be at that point? Would they have to look for new sites to balance out numbers, or how does that part of the process work?
Yeah, the answer again is maybe. It'll depend if those are not approved, or if any number of them are not approved. Then the county will have to look at what they have in front of them that is accommodating their regional housing needs. And there is a no net loss during the cycle, so meaning that they have to at least be meeting their RHNA shortfall. And so right now, what they've approved is accommodating their shortfall as well as a buffer. And so if those rezones in Carpinteria Valley were not approved, they would have to look and say, well, do we still have enough to at least cover the shortfall, if not a buffer? And if they don't, then they may have to either upzone some more of the areas that they've already looked at during those hearings, or they may have to even rezone more land.
Thank you. I appreciate all the information. I know it's something that's really important to Carpinterians, how the county process is working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything we can do at the Coastal Commission level in preparation for, the potential hearing by the county?
That's a very good question.
Or do we just wait and see?
I think right now it's wait and see. Because they still have quite a difficult process ahead with just working with Coastal Commission staff, making findings for their LCP amendment, and working on getting those rezones approved. We are continuing to talk with Coastal Commission staff about our own rezones, but also about the county. And so we're trying to continue to monitor, but I think we will check back with you if we think there's an appropriate time to write a letter, have some kind of staff meeting. We'll check with you on that.
Right. It just seems like we want the Coastal Commission to appreciate the point that the county could have selected sites that weren't on the wrong side of the urban-rural boundary. They did have that opportunity already. They didn't have to go look somewhere else. They were just ones they didn't pick.
That's a very valid point. That is what we are trying to emphasize for certain.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, we're happy to answer any other questions before taking public comment.
actually had one quick question about, so the Carpinteria, the group loop ride, the bicycle thing you talked about, is that open, is that an all ages thing? Is it something where kids should show up, or is it just for, you know, advanced bicyclists?
You know, my update doesn't include anything on ages or the scale of the rider. Sometimes I start talking and look around to see if somebody's running up to the podium. Oh, there, see? It's the magic of this position.
Hi. So it is, I'm Erin Maker. I'm the Environmental Program Manager. It is a longer ride, but kids are welcome to join. The map is available on the website, so you can actually look at that map. We have everything available on cyclemania.org, or you can contact myself or Shay Darrington. We can send that information to people.
No, thank you very much. I just figured in case people wanted to go, they might want to know more about who should attend.
The ride starts at the Amtrak parking lot, goes up 7th Street, takes a left on Carpinteria Avenue, down to the Santa Claus Lane bike path, and then comes back down Carpinteria Avenue this way, turns right on Linden, and ends at the Island Brew Company. And there will be pizza.
Great. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You should have started with that part. Okay. So we'll go to public comment on matters not on the city council agenda.
Mayor, if we could take public comment.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. We're going to take public comment on the city manager's report. Okay, we got one taker. Can you, Patrick, can you fill out a speaker slip when you're done?
I did. I just.
Oh, you already did.
Didn't identify it for this section, sorry.
Uh-huh.
I'm Patrick O'Connor. I'm in District 5. I'm in the ARB also, and wanted to make a comment for the council to consider related to the report on the Development Review Committee's role and the reconvening or convening of that as required group. I think the point of the discussion in the last meeting wasn't so much about calling it for its intended purpose around the downtown T, but was really to expand potentially the participation of that ad hoc committee or that joint committee to further participate in the housing element discussions, the general plan discussion, and all these different things. So I appreciate that they're going to convene it for its intended purpose, but I think the idea was to take it further. So there you go. Thanks.
All right, thanks for that comment. All right, anybody else on the city manager's report? Anybody on Zoom, Brian?
We have no raised hands, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. We'll close the public comment period on the city manager's report and open the public comment period for matters not on the agenda. So do we have any speaker slips, Brian? Larry Nimmer. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council and City Manager. I'm Larry Nimmer from 1040 Linden Avenue. My occupation is filmmaker. I'm here to advocate for city videos. And I was told today by a city staff person that the city's budget will no longer be able to accommodate outside videos for the city. And those videos, which I've been doing for over 25 years, and others, include the Independence Day Parade, the Holiday Spirit Parade, Rods and Roses video, Community Awards Banquet, Avocado Festival, and other events. And my feeling is that there's a historic and economic value to the city of having these videos to help boost tourism and as a public service to the community. It documents people, clubs, and events, and also has a historical value. And the videos get over thousands of views on the city's Facebook channel and Instagram, and on the city's YouTube channel. Recently, I had proposed doing video interviews with retired city leadership to help establish an institutional memory of issues and solutions, but that didn't come about. Now I'm sorry to hear that the regular videos, like for the parade and community awards banquet, will not be videotaped. Hopefully, this can be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Gail Marshall. Hi, Gail.
Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to encourage the Council to take steps to present an informational item on a future agenda to educate yourselves and the public about our neighborhood voices. This is a group that was formed a number of years ago to fight back against Sacramento's unfounded mandates, specifically related to planning for housing. The idea is to go to the voters through the initiative process to restore the authority of local governments when it comes to making land use planning decisions. Sacramento has placed an inordinate number of restrictions on local government. This initiative process is meant to claw back local government's rightful power when it comes to zoning, parking requirements, building heights, on and on. I confess to having been skeptical of this process initially. I do not support, generally, ballot box governing. And the idea, as presented by our neighborhood voices, I had fears that the Coastal Act would somehow be endangered, throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. I believe the language of the initiative has been adjusted to account for these fears. So I'm not hesitating to ask you to bring a representative of our neighborhood voices to a council meeting to present their idea. Perhaps direct your staff to do a little research on our neighborhood voices and bring this item back at a not too distant future meeting, not for approval, just to educate yourselves in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Amrita Salm.
Good evening. I have been in touch with the people who are kind of the major advocates for our neighborhood voices. You've heard other people come here and talk about it before. One of their, you could say, representatives or people who speaks publicly for them, who is the closest to the city of Carpinteria, happens to be a city council member in Redondo Beach. And he is more than willing to come in June, if that's convenient or agreeable to the city council, to talk about what they're trying to do. And as Gail mentions, it's a matter of educating the council members as well as our community about this process, which is basically to bring the land use process back to our local governments. So I would encourage all of you to consider putting it on the agenda in June and get the representative from Redondo Beach, who is obviously dealing with very similar issues to those that we're dealing with. So, any questions or concerns?
Yeah, was there a particular meeting in June?
I spoke with him, and I only mentioned the first meeting in June, which I believe is June 10th. So depending on what else is on your calendar, I didn't discuss other meetings. And they would also, they have weekly Zoom meetings that anybody in the state of California or anywhere can listen to and ask questions. And they would then have Zoom meetings just for people in Carpinteria and Santa Barbara so they could ask specific questions related to their community and they would probably do that before their regular weekly meetings.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm in favor of doing that, and I guess if June 10th, did you say? Yeah. I know we looked at this before when, I think it was on the League of Cities calendar thing that they bring around. I think we poo-pooed it at that time for a few reasons, but I have heard that they have made some changes, and so I'm in favor of hearing all about it.
I would be interested too. I think we've gotten a lot of public comment and email outreach from different people in the community about it, so I think getting more information about it would be helpful.
Mayor, I'll only add that June 10th is your budget public hearing. Typically, we try to keep that meeting very limited, and so I don't know if it'd be possible to do second meeting in June. Of course, if you guys want it on that first meeting in June, we can. It's just been the history to try to keep that meeting as light as possible.
Well, I don't think it would take that much time, just a little presentation, a couple questions. Then we could maybe, if we were going to follow up with anything, we could schedule that for later, you know. Is that okay?
Agreed.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? That's the last speaker slip I have. Whoops, here we go. Welcome again.
Yes, thank you very much. Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident. And I've been listening to you. I've been listening to the community, both the English-speaking community and the Spanish-speaking community. I'm well-known, believe me. And I've talked to hundreds of people, knocked on doors, about Baylor rezoning, and I couldn't find one. I couldn't find no one who was in favor of it. So, and I led the 5 Santa Barbara County supervisors know about this. I talked to Dust Williams about this. Believe me. And talk about the Coastal Commission probably having the final say on this. And I think that we should stand for the will of the people. Believe me. And I've been doing all I can. Maybe beyond my ability, but I think that if any of you out there or on this side or you over here on this side do more about this. I got the feeling that it's a done deal. Decided a long time ago. Believe me, I know. So, but I think that we should do more. Probably get more Spanish information out there. Because I have talked to people and they said, well, you go ahead and talk for us. You tell us what to do and we'll do it. So, just need help. Thank you.
Thank you, that's great. All right, anybody else? So, Brian, Well, I got a speaker slip for Amrita Psalm. Again? Am I confused, or is this for an agenda item?
This is for, no, it's not on
Want to
the
get up and
agenda.
talk again?
I am speaking from HopeNet of Carpinteria. I just wanted to remind members of the community that May is Mental Health Month, and for anybody who needs help, who's in a crisis, you can either text or call 988 anywhere in the United States. It's a national number. It has only been in effect for over a year, and apparently from the research they've done, only 8% of the population even knows about it. So we encourage people to become aware of it and to inform friends and neighbors, or if they know anybody who needs any help. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. Okay. Anybody on Zoom?
We do, Mayor. We have Gary Campopiano. Gary, go ahead. Gary, do you want to unmute your mic?
Okay, now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor Clark and City Council members. Everyone has stolen my thunder. I support what all of the previous speakers have communicated. I strongly support Carpinteria's participation in Coastal Commission hearings about county parcel rezones. California SB 8, SB 9, SB 10, and SB 35 are designed to override local land use power. Well-planned communities maintain city infrastructure, and that is the best done locally, not by the state. Building 900 plus new residences in Carpinteria would drastically change the quality of life for everyone living here. Huge housing increases, people, cars, pollution from the county, the city of Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Oxnard will be disastrous. The state's one-size-fits-all approach will ruin Carpinteria's small-town character. I believe that we need to work with other groups and cities to push back on the aggressive state bills. If there are people willing to help us in this effort, I hope our council will allow them time to explain. In addition to that, I also support Larry Nimmer's videos. I think the historical value of them is great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gary. You got anybody else, Brian?
Yes. We have David Allen. David, go ahead.
It's not David, it's Susan. I don't know how to fix that situation. Earlier this evening, you had a speaker discussing poverty levels in Santa Barbara County. So I thought it would be a good time to mention again expanding the safe parking program and perhaps considering a safe parking area just for women and children. I am personally aware of 3 women, 2 with children, who are presently living in their cars. I think it's important that they have a safe place to be. I believe the safe parking program where it's located now has been very successful, and I would really like to see it expanded. And again, particularly for women, so they have a safe place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
And Mayor, that concludes Zoom speakers.
All right, thank you so much.
Mayor, can we talk about Larry Limmer's request?
Sure.
I'd like to see that we put in a future agenda item just for discussion.
Okay, fine with me.
Will this come up during our budget meeting on June 10th?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor Alarcon. It would be. It appears that some early drafts is maybe what Larry's referring to. Of course, the council would have final say on anything that was budgeted, approved, or not approved. Some of the, festivals that were mentioned, like the community awards banquet, some of these events are city-sponsored, some of them are not city-sponsored. It wouldn't preclude that the agencies that host them from also having the videos. But in the past, Larry's correct, the city has paid for these videos, whether they're co-sponsored or other cities' programs. And so the council will have an opportunity to look at all of that as part of its draft budget in June.
Okay. And then, it's no surprise that we're all moving into a tight budget year or a tight fiscal year. So during that presentation on June 10th, can we also get a sense from the presenters or directors of what is actually being cut? Because sometimes when it's presented, we don't necessarily know the minutia or the details in terms of the services that are being cut. So if that could be highlighted by the presenters or directors.
Yes, absolutely. We use the word deferred around here. We have some items that are potentially going to have to wait some time, but we'll make sure that we'll highlight all of those items, and we have to do that to reach a balanced budget, and then ultimately it comes to the council to decide which items we use or not. But there's several proposed things, and I don't think that all of them will end up deferred, but it's just a process that we have to go through.
So in terms of Larry's comments and the budget, do we have an idea of how much money we're talking about in this specific request?
I don't. I think it's roughly and maybe Larry could clarify, I think between $1,500 and $1,750 per event, and that's my best recollection of some invoices, but he would probably be best to clarify on what that would be.
We should defer this to an
Yeah.
agenda.
But we can either defer this to its own separate agenda item, or again discuss it as part of the draft budget in June. Yeah, well, of course, with as Vice Mayor said, with more detail regarding this item and many of the other items that are proposed for reduction or deferment.
Okay, that works for me. That's fine. All right. Now we're going to the consent calendar.
Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held April 22nd, 2024, and the special meeting held April 26th, 2024, to receive and file the expenditures for the period beginning April 15th, 2024, and ending May 3rd, 2024, and to approve additional appropriations through the Community Services Support Grant Program for the current fiscal year 2023-2024, totaling $19,000.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you so much. Any further discussion? Hang on a sec. We're going to open the public comment period to see if anybody has comments on any of those three consent calendar items as mentioned specifically by Councilmember Solorzano. How about Zoom, Brian?
Mayor, I think we do have a person in the audience wanting to speak to item number 8 on the consent calendar.
Oh, we do. Thank you, Sandy Evans. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you. Welcome, Mayor and Councilman. I'm speaking on a little bit lighter tone, so you can just sit back and relax. First, I want to thank you on behalf of the seniors, Carpinteria Seniors Incorporation, for considering our grant for putting on the second annual senior prom. We really appreciate the fact that you're considering all the seniors in this town by granting us a grant. Anyway, just to update you on what now is happening is, it is going to be next Saturday night, May 18th, from 5 to 7, with dancing and dinner and lots of happy times for everybody. Wine and beer also will be served. And we would like to invite any of you that would like to come to stop by and see us. We're at Girls Inc. out there. Anybody have any questions? Even though you're not seniors, some of you, you're still welcome to come.
Thank you so much for making that announcement. Okay. Let's see. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Nomura?
Aye.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alarcon?
Aye.
And Mayor Clark.
Aye. Thank you. Now we're going to item number 9, which is rental of street sweeping equipment.
Good evening, Council. Tonight I'm here to present on the staff recommendation to authorize the city manager to execute a time extension for the rental of a street sweeper from Haker Equipment Company in an amount not to exceed $70,700, and to appropriate $8,000 for the related maintenance. To provide some background and context to this item, the Public Works Department manages the street sweeping program, providing maintenance to approximately 32.2 curb miles within the city. This maintenance has historically been carried out through contract services, which we source through an RFP process. However, on July 24th, 2023, the City Council authorized the purchase of our own EV sweeper. Given the long lead time for the production and the delivery, as well as the expiration of the contract with Sweeping Corporation of America, city staff evaluated some interim options to continue street sweeping efforts while we await our EV sweeper. The result of this evaluation determined renting a piece of equipment and having city staff operate it would be the cheapest and most feasible option. On August 28, 2023, the City Council authorized the city manager to execute a rental agreement with Haker Equipment Company in an amount not to exceed $94,176. And that was an 8-month rental agreement. The purpose of this agenda matter is to authorize the city manager to execute a time extension for the rental agreement in an amount not to exceed $70,700 and to appropriate $78,700 for the rental of the street sweeping equipment, as well as maintenance. The need for the time extension with Haker stems from the notification on April 5th, 2024, when city staff was notified that there was production delays on our EV sweeper, mostly stemming from supply chain issues. Consequently, the delivery of our sweeper was delayed, and we can expect it sometime between September and October. Staff evaluated some options to continue the street sweeping effort and determined that continuing our rental with Haker was the most affordable option. The monthly price or rate will not change. It's still going to be $11,722, and that includes the base rate of $10,800 and then the sales tax of $922 a month. The rental would still be on a monthly basis, and staff estimates that 6-month rental extension is necessary to maintain the street sweeping efforts. As with the first rental period, the city would be responsible for basic maintenance. No large costs associated with that. It's mostly the brooms, but we would also maintain the sweeper hopper and the water filters, all of which is estimated to cost about $8,000 for the 6-month rental period. The total cost, including sales tax and maintenance, would be approximately $78,700, $26,300 of which would be in the fiscal year 23-24. The rental would ensure a continuation of the city's essential service without interruption while we await the delivery of our EV sweeper. For financial considerations, it's important to note that this fiscal year would require an appropriation of $26,300, increasing the AB 939 Solid Waste Fund, and it's proposed that that increase come from the general fund to offset the increase. The options for this, one more thing is that $52,400 will be proposed in the next fiscal year budget, 24-25. The options for this are to authorize the city manager to execute this agreement and allow Public Works to maintain the street sweeping efforts. If opted, that's staff recommendation. If you opt not to do that, the other one would, just important to note that the price quote could change and that we also don't have a backup plan in terms of a contract and or an outside vendor to continue the service. So with that concludes my report. I open it up to questions.
Thank you for the report. Any questions?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So I understand that the delays with the Carpinteria equipment is because of the supply chain issues, but given that the delays been so long and continues to go on, is there any mitigation that the city can get? Because since we're putting out money now to do the rental on the longer term basis.
Through the mayor, I'm not aware of any remedies. All Global offers is a estimate of 270 production days. They don't guarantee a delivery date. I will note, though, that we did reach out to them to ensure that our price wouldn't change. The original quote is locked in, and we're not subject to any increases.
That's good to know. And so if additional delays do occur, will the city then have to keep reallocating more money to do the rental portion of it?
Through the mayor, that's correct. Our budget was only set up through April, so anything subsequent to that, we'd have to an appropriation. And if we come back in October, we would then have to do another appropriation.
But then it also could be delivered any time between.
Correct, yeah. So ideally, we're hoping to see it September, optimistically August, but worst case scenario, we're told would be October. And so this recommendation would take us through the end of October.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment. Great job by this Public Works keeping our streets clean. How's the response from staff about operating those machines?
Through the mayor, it's been great. We're trying to get all the guys trained on it. So Robert Howard, who's the Public Works supervisor, he takes them out one at a time. So he first started with Rosendo. He trained him first. He did a ride along for about maybe a month or so. After which point, Rosendo started doing it himself. And if I'm not mistaken, the next person to be trained was Tim Gray, followed by Anthony. And yeah, they've had a great time ironing out the routes and just preparing us for when we receive our sweeper.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll open up the public comment period. Anybody have any comments about, I see a raised hand. Welcome again. Can you fill out a slip again? Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and forgive me for taking advantage of the moment. For an adjacent issue related to street sweeping, please consider where that stuff is unloaded. It's actually unloaded in an open bay area right along the yard over here next to City Hall, and it's adjacent to a pretty active outdoor storage area. I happen to be a tenant in that spot immediately behind it. I'm no longer in that spot, but it's one of the most foul, dirty areas to actually empty the street sweeping. It should be enclosed at worst and moved away from an active outdoor environment. So, thanks.
Thanks for that comment. Yes?
I didn't fill out a slip. Can I make a comment?
Yeah, but can you fill out a slip after you make your comment?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm Mayor, hi, Council. I just want to take the opportunity, I have a question to ask someone who might know about the streets. There's a steel plates in a mess on the corner of Eleanor. It's been open for months. Is there any plan to fix that? They got steel covers on it. There's water everywhere, potholes. You might know something about that.
To the mayor, unfortunately, I don't.
Okay.
I can't follow up with the Public Works Director, John Lawson. I'm sure he would have.
By the way, my name
information.
is Roland Pickard. Excuse me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll follow up and If we get your contact information, I can reach out to you directly.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Thank
So the slips are those green things right there?
you. Yes.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else? Nobody on Zoom, Brian?
We have no raised hands, Mayor.
Thanks. I'll bring it back to the council for determination.
I move to authorize the city manager to execute a rental agreement with Hawker Equipment Company for street sweeping equipment in an amount not to exceed $70,000 and $70,700, and appropriate $78,700 for rental of street sweeping equipment and maintenance.
I'll second that, with the request for modification to include the time commitment. That would be till October, I believe.
Modified?
Thank you. I would second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Brian, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Namura?
Aye.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alarcon?
Aye.
And Mayor Clark.
Aye. Excuse me. And now, item number 10 on the agenda, approval of the agreement between the City of Carpinteria and Two Trumpets Communications for public outreach services and communications support.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and council members. The purpose of this presentation is to seek approval for the agreement between the city and Two Trumpets Communications, there's a bug on here, for public outreach services and communication support. The city has engaged with Two Trumpets Communications since 2018. The most recent agreement was for 74 hours per month for social media management, email newsletter publication, and miscellaneous communication support. And this included design, writing, and editing. This agreement is valid until June 30th of 2024. So since it was expiring, we issued a request for proposal to digital marketing firms in the area to consult on expertise in digital communication and support to enhance the city's outreach efforts and engagement with residents. We received 3 bids from Two Trumpets Communication, Dowager Designs, and Onerachrome. Our selection criteria included competitive pricing, local expertise, and responsiveness to the city's needs. Staff recommends Two Trumpet Communications based on their expertise and services offered, as well as competitive pricing. Two Trumpets Communication has served the city of Carpinteria since 2018 with our media management, social media management, e-newsletters. They actually started our entire program of social media and newsletter communication out of the pandemic, out of the need for emergency communication, and then later on, extended needs due to the pandemic. They also provide design services and even photography. You see Leah Boyd here every night, every council meeting, taking pictures for us. Their principal, Leah Boyd, brings expertise. She is a formal editor of the Coastal View News and understands Carpinteria language, communication nuances, and the proposal that is being presented tonight addresses the current needs of the city, including the program expansion that has occurred as the city has grown over the last several years in terms of programs and staff and just things that are happening. And so the number of hours has gone up in this current proposal, but the cost has remained unchanged per hour. Additionally, a potential for 15 hours per month are included, and this is to align with the City Council's goal to improve outreach, transparency, as part of their 2024 work plan number 1 goal. Funding, the financials consideration is funding of $85,500 to be included as part of the fiscal year 24-25 budget, And the options for tonight are to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement as is, or to request staff to revise the scope of work and authorize the agreement with modifications, or to explore alternative options for the public outreach services and communication support. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Any questions?
Yeah, I love the work that Two Trumpets does, and I agree. I like that we're looking at one of our work plan priorities to really increase outreach. Can you give me some examples of what some of the new types of product that will be put out? I know I saw in the staff report that you mentioned some of the things like to do with the senior programming and that, but are there other examples?
Sure. So in addition to the expanded programs that are going to be covered, there are, our city manager wants for us to promote the work plan with something, I don't know if you're familiar, our work plan was like this very large document, and the goal is for it to be just more of something that's very readable, something like a brochure that maybe is 10 pages long, 15 pages long, and in our previous contract, that did not include that kind of services. So we actually, for this year, had contracted with Two Trumpets for just that one work plan item, but in the future, it can be included. Same thing with a budget document and any other type of city communications that we would like to really extend to the community and make accessible.
And then in terms of those additional products, how is the translation element of it? Will it all be English and Spanish? Will some of the posts and the materials be bilingual, but maybe not all of them? Or do we have a sense of how that's going to look?
I don't have a consideration yet. I don't think we've pinned down the design and the accessibility yet, but that would be a hope.
Great, thank you.
That's a good question. Okay, anybody else? All right, we'll open the public comment period on this item about the city's contract with Two Trumpets. And
Would you like
anybody
to
on Zoom, Brian?
Mayor, we have no raised hands.
Okay. Did you want to
Sounds like Leah might want to approach.
Can you fill out a speaker slip? No, just kidding.
Happy to. My name is Leah, and I am one of the Two Trumpets. The other trumpets are Peter. And Mayor, Council,
Can you hit a
thank
high C?
What's that? Yeah. That was good. So thank you for considering our contract. It has truly been a pleasure to work with the city for the last 6 years. A lot has changed in those 6 years, and Olivia and I are going to go into significant detail into that in 3 agenda items, I think. So you'll learn more about that. But we appreciate your consideration of this and want to really point out that we are significantly cheaper than a street sweeper rental. Okay?
Yeah, I reiterate that. You get the A-team. First Trumpet, Leah, maintains the service and the contract with the city of Carpinteria. And I don't often get out here to the city council meetings, but it's been a pleasure to be here tonight and just to see all the great work that's done on behalf of residents. And it's our absolute pleasure to be able to share all the good news with the community. And also, we've made a little bit of adjustment over time because Leah is now, if it's, she's like a meteorologist. If it's going to rain, she's on call with Olivia. She's ready to go to help with the evacuation notices and all those things. So yeah, so it's been a great pleasure to work with the city, and we hope to continue to do so. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comments. All right. We will bring it back to the council for determination.
I'll move to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement between the City of Carpinteria and Two Trumpets Communications for public outreach services and communication support.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
I do. I just want to say, Leah, Peter, you guys are amazing, and thank you for you. So, thank you.
All right. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Nomura?
Aye.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alarcon,
Aye.
and Mayor Clark.
Aye. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute break at this time. All right, we're reconvening the Carpinteria City Council meeting after a short break, and we're on agenda item number 11, which is authorization to renew an agreement for rental housing mediation program services between the city and the City of Santa Barbara for the period from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027 for a flat fee of $78,813 for the 3-year term of the agreement.
Thank you, Mayor Clark and Council. I'm Mindy Fogg with the Community Development Department, here to present on item 11. And what we're requesting is that you authorize the city manager to execute this renewal of contractual agreement with the City of Santa Barbara. It would be for their rental housing mediation program, or RHMP services, and it would be for a flat fee of $78,813 over that 3-year period. The RHMP is an amazing service that we started participating in 2011 with them, and they provide routine, regular resolution for citizens of Carpinteria to mediate and give information on the roles and responsibilities of landlords and tenants. And the number of Carpinterians that use these services continues to go up every year. The previous fiscal year, it was a total of 44 people in the year, and so far in this fiscal year, which is not over, there's been 52 people using the program. This would not be an additional appropriation under the budget because the participation with the RHMP has been and continues to be allocated through the Housing Fund. And so with that, I am available for questions, and also here from the City of Santa Barbara is Andrea I knew I would trip over this. Andrea Bifano, who is the Senior Rental Housing Mediation Specialist, and Laura Dubels, the Housing and Human Services Manager.
Okay.
So I have a couple questions. It might be for our guests or for you, but one thing I thought was really interesting in the staff report, just the breakdown quarterly of the different types of disputes or complaints that go through RHMP. And I was curious to know what, in Carpinteria, what are the overarching main complaints that you guys deal with?
Thank you, Councilmember Solorzano, and through the mayor. My name is Laura Doubles. I'm the Housing and Human Services Manager, and Andrea Bifano is the supervisor of the program. And so I'll have her answer your question. Thank you.
Termination of tenancies are the majority of the issues that we help resolve. And I have the percentage here. The year-to-date is 48% of the calls are related to termination of tenancy, and the third quarter is 47%. So termination of tenancy includes 3-day by landlord, 30-day by landlord, 60-day by landlord, 90-day by landlord, unlawful detainer, that's a lawsuit filed with the court, forcible evictions, and that's mainly what it entails.
And have you seen those areas, have they been fairly consistent over the years, or is there an uptick in like the cases for termination of tenancy, or does that sort of vary?
It can vary, but it's usually termination of tenancy, habitability and repair, and security deposit issues.
So if people are experiencing that, then they know they can contact you guys for assistance. And I was looking at just the agreement, and I saw that there's this outreach and education part in terms of the delivery of service. And so I wanted to ask, how are some of the ways that you guys are doing that in Carpinteria?
Okay, well, we've done outreach at the Aliso School, that community resource engagement fair last year, and we're hoping that Olivia is going to arrange that again for this new coming fiscal year. We've participated at food bank distributions, and we have a bilingual staff as well that goes with me out to that area, and we help answer questions and distribute our brochures. And we've been at the Carpinteria Children's Project and met with the parents in the evening and gone over landlord-tenant rules and regulations and what mediation is and how we can intervene as a neutral third party to help them resolve their dispute and continue their tenancies. And we've also offered workshops on tenant-landlord rights and responsibilities at the Holiday Inn here in Carpinteria in the past. And we have a Housing Santa Barbara Day that is offered in Santa Barbara, and it's we hold a mediation workshop, and it's live streamed to Carpinteria and the Santa Barbara County, and so that serves as an outreach as well.
That's great. And where can people hear about these things? Do you post them like online, or is this something where they can sign up for emails or anything like that?
Well, first I'll say we're open to outreaches if someone has a suggestion for us.
Mhm.
And we try to share with city staff. We work with them to inform them where we will be holding an outreach. And so you can contact city staff.
That's great. No, and thank you for all the work that you do. I remember you were at the Together We Thrive event that we had at Aliso
Yes.
School, and it was very nice meeting you there. So thank you for being back here to report out.
Thank you so much. We really like serving the residents of the city of Carpinteria.
All right. Thank you for coming down, and thank you for your services.
Thank you.
Very important. Any other questions?
No questions on my end, just as a comment. I am a former board member of Rental Housing Mediation Program, and I'm happy to share that they do an excellent training of their board members, and they can spend up to 8 hours in mediation with a tenant and a landlord and find an agreement between them. So they're incredibly skilled, and when the mediation is needed, they are there to support.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public like to make a comment? And anybody on Zoom, Brian?
Mayor, we have no raised hands.
All right, we'll bring it back to the city council to make a motion.
I move to authorize the city manager to sign the agreement for rental housing mediation program services for the period from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027 for a flat fee of $78,813 for the 3-year term of the agreement.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Brian, may we have a roll call?
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Nomura?
Aye.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alarcon?
Aye.
And Mayor Clark.
Aye. All right, item number 12, receive and file letter of resignation of District 3 Councilmember Roy Lee and determine process for filling the city council vacancy.
Mayor, out of abundance of caution and to avoid perception of bias, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. In March, Councilmember Lee was elected to the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors and will take office in January 2025. On May 7th, Councilmember Lee submitted a letter to the city clerk stating that he intends to resign effective upon the swearing in of his replacement on December 9th, 2024. Government Code Section 36512B provides that should a vacancy occur in an elective office, the council shall within 60 days from the commencement of the vacancy either fill the vacancy by appointment or call a special election to fill the vacancy. Should the council wish to fill Councilmember Lee's seat by appointment, the process would involve noticing the initiation of the appointment process, inviting applications, interviewing candidates during an open session of council meeting, and appointment by a majority vote. Because Councilmember Lee will not be leaving his seat until December of this year, the appointment process would not need to begin until later this year, likely in October, to initiate the appointment process and determine further details. Alternatively, the council may call a special election to fill Councilmember Lee's seat. Since there is an upcoming election later this year, the special election could be consolidated with the general municipal and statewide elections that will occur on November 5th. There is a cost savings to the city in having the option to consolidate with an existing election rather than conducting a standalone election. The county elections office estimated that the cost for this year's election will be $19,000, and if the city adds Councilmember Lee's seat to the election, the cost will be $21,600. Whereas if the city were to do a standalone election with no help or assistance from the county, the cost could be perhaps potentially $100,000, so a lot. This year's general municipal election will complete the city's transition to district elections and will see the seats currently occupied by at-large members, Vice Mayor Alarcon and Councilmember Nomura, replaced by representatives for council district numbers 2 and 4. If the council chose to fill Councilmember Lee's vacancy by election, the council district number 3 seat would be added to the list of candidate seats to be consolidated with the general municipal election and statewide election to be held on November 5th. Staff expects to bring the requisite election resolutions for the city council to consider at the next meeting on May 28th. At this time, staff is only requesting direction from the council to fill Councilmember Lee's seat either by appointment or calling a special election. Regardless of the option the council chooses tonight, the successor in office will serve the balance of Councilmember Lee's term, which goes through December of 2026. And Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you for that great report. Any questions? All right, I got a speaker slip. I'll open the public comment period. A speaker slip from Rogelio Delgado. Welcome again.
Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident, and Riley actually hit a home run at Carpinteria Stadium. He won every district, and we wish him luck, and we will support him. A year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, doesn't matter how long, but he has won the trust of Carpinteria residents. And he's going to be our new kid in town, and we are proud of him. A la gente hispana les digo que Riley ganó la elección con un cuadrangular con las casas llenas en el estadio de Carpintería, y lo vamos a apoyar el tiempo que esté como supervisor, 1 año, 2 años, 4 años, y estamos orgullosos de él, y todos juntos podemos apoyar a Riley. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom, Brian?
Mayor, we have no raised hands.
Okay, we'll bring it back for discussion and et cetera. Anybody want to say anything?
Sure, I'd like to comment, first of all, I'm losing a good one on this one here, but the replacement for this one, because of the timing, I think it would be beneficial to include this in the general election. Usually would not be given this kind of privilege, but however, because of the timing and the reason for the termination of office, makes a lot more sense than something, for example, it would be a health issue, something like that, or any other negative cause. So because of that, I would like to give the decision making to the public under the general election.
Yes, of course. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? Or did we just did it?
So Mayor, just as part of the motion that your council makes
Motion.
tonight, either to place Councilmember Lee's vacancy for a special election this year, which will be consolidated with the general municipal election, and we'll be bringing that resolution back to council on May 28th, should you go that direction. Or if you wish to make place Councilmember Lee's vacancy for appointment. And then if you do so, then staff will come back likely September, October with all the details for that and get that all situated.
And council members, through the mayor, I can help you with a motion if it sounds like we're leaning towards holding a special election and consolidating it with the general municipal election. So a motion could go something to the effect of receiving and filing Roy Lee's letter of resignation, and then directing staff to include the District 3 seat to the list of candidate seats to be consolidated with the general municipal and statewide elections to occur on November 5th, 2024.
Yep, so moved.
All right.
Second.
One modification, that would be, I would like to also include the term that fulfill the term, the last 2 years of that.
Correct, and that's per state law as
you.
well.
Thank you.
Did you second?
Second, yes.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 4-0.
And council members, through the mayor, we'll be coming back at the next meeting with those resolutions calling for the election and the consolidation.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all your work on that. Okay. So next item is item number 13, ordinance number 782, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Carpinteria, California, amending Chapter 2.37 of the Municipal Code to modify the composition of the Carpinteria Community Library Advisory Commission and align reporting requirements with state law.
Good evening. Still here.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that we can, this is to just try to be as clear as possible about this new ordinance. There's two sections of the ordinance that we're wanting to amend. One of them has to do with the youth position, which we've talked about at council meetings previously. And the other portion has to do with when or a date by which the Library Advisory Commission must submit an annual report to you on the state of the library. So I've talked previously about that second part, about the date that the annual report is due to you. The annual report that I'm required to file with the State of California State Library isn't due now until the end of October, early November. And the education code to which that is tied is about to be amended. State Library is planning to amend that date. So we left in the ordinance, we left it vague, that the Library Advisory Commission would supply an annual report to you once a year. Date to be determined by when they get their report done, based on when I get my report done. And so that's the one change. And then the other change has to do with the youth position, and as well, what was left off originally on the ordinance was the inclusion of an invitation to the city-appointed county representative to the Library Advisory Committee, which is Gail Marshall currently. And that position is not mentioned in the ordinance anywhere, as well as with the Friends of the Carpinteria Library representative and the Friends of the Montecito Library representative. So as long as we're putting the youth position in here, we thought we would correct the language to include that position that's city council appointed. So that language is in the staff report. due to my own oversight about this, there is an errata memorandum for today, so that we can do this first reading of the ordinance. That does include the city representative to county advisory committee, and so that's what that's about. Is that sufficient?
And just to clarify, so we can, one
Thank
moment,
you.
please.
Yeah. It's online. Yeah. Oh, do I want to bring it up? Do I know how to bring it up? Don't know how. Love to. Don't know. Oh, here we go.
So this is the red line. So if you want to just go down to, I guess that one.
Council members, through the mayor, I was just confirming that all of our proposed changes to the ordinance are in the most recent version that has been uploaded to the city's agenda website, and that is correct. So there was one, as Jody was mentioning, there was one additional edit that we did not catch until earlier today, and that was the inclusion of, on the third from bottom line in the red line there, the city representative to the Santa Barbara County Library Advisory Commission. And so we're proposing that language, which is in the version online currently and on the screen, also be included for your consideration in this ordinance.
Okay. Any questions?
I just had one question about, so the language, it states that the commission may also include a youth representative. Does that give the discretion to not appoint one? Like maybe if there isn't an applicant one cycle, or if, the commission decides for some reason not to include one, is that why that may is there?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
And I think the decision was made that the Library Advisory Commission could create a city policy that, who knows, might be wanted to be used for other commissions and committees. We make broad city policy about this, but rather than sort of get into the weeds in the ordinance.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why the language is worded that way.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, we'll open the public comment period. Anybody would like to comment about the ordinance modifying the composition of the Carpinteria Community Library Advisory Commission? And Brian?
Mayor, we have no Zoom speakers.
Okay. All right, we'll bring it back to the council for determination.
So I move to approve ordinance number 782 on first reading as read by title only and continue second reading for adoption to May 28th, 2024.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? See,
I'll just say there is one position open. Just saying, if somebody wants it, there's the Library Advisory Commission position available, so I'm going to put it out there right now.
okay, if you're listening. and-
That's right. Anyone?
All right, Brian, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure, Mayor. Before I get to the roll call, let me read the ordinance title into the record. Ordinance number 782, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Carpinteria, California, amending Chapter 2.37 of the Carpinteria Municipal Code to modify the composition of the Carpinteria Community Library Advisory Commission and align reporting requirements with state law. Now for the vote. Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Nomura?
Aye.
Councilmember Solorzano?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alarcon?
Aye.
And Mayor Clark.
Aye. Okay, item number 14, 2024 Community Promotions and Communications Program Report.
Good evening. Okay, this is the follow-up from the other item. The purpose of this presentation tonight of this agenda item is to provide council with information regarding future district and/or citywide outreach events and receive feedback and/or direction from council related to implementation. In addition, myself, the program manager in general government, and our representative from Two Trumpets Communication, Leah Boyd, will provide an overview of the city's digital communication and data and seek feedback and direction from council regarding potential future strategy and data collection. Why we are here. In the past, we have had a couple of community events. One of them, in 2019, was Neighbor to Neighbor, and that had an emphasis on emergency preparedness. It happened at Memorial Park in the summertime. It was done by my predecessor. And then in 2023, we held Together We Thrive in the spring. And this was a resource and engagement fair with a focus on nonprofits and city services at the community, for the community at Aliso School for District 1 and District 2. Both of these events had a survey component, which was really useful. Data was asked at both of these. For the first event, we gathered data about emergency preparedness. Do you feel prepared for disaster? Are you involved with a community group? And please tell us what the needs are for your community. And Together We Thrive, these are just a couple of numbers from the Together We Thrive survey, but we received 107 survey responses covering questions about the districts and demographics, communication preference, neighborhood challenges, resources needed in each neighborhood, law enforcement perception, and what your sense of belonging is. In 2024, the City Council met to set their work plan and their objectives and priorities, and identified goals such as to include voices from a broader swath of Carpinterians, strengthen relationships with nonprofits with ties to the local Latino community, increase transparency with budget, economics and trade-offs, continue investments in Spanish language resources, and formalize the process of appointing members, committees, and commissions. So we're here because the council had asked us to bring back how we could follow up with these types of district events or these types of events. And we thought it was a good opportunity to talk about our outreach in general. So one big consideration for this particular year is, as was mentioned earlier, there will be potentially 3 elections, 3 districts that are up for election, and therefore it is recommended in order to comply with laws and regulations and best practices to avoid district-specific events. And so it's suggested also from a budgetary standpoint to have one citywide event in 2024. So we would like to seek recommendations in terms of themes, could be environmental, could be any kind of theme, as well as location, time of year, and anything else, any kind of survey information that would be valuable for this council to have. We'll come back to this during the discussion. In addition to in-person events, we would like to have engagement with the Latino community and nonprofits organizations, and partnering with organizations and community groups. We have, this year, we've already begun participating in the nonprofit collaborative group that meets in Carpinteria quarterly, so that we can know what the different needs and going-ons are with the nonprofits, and then we can also communicate things that are relevant from the city's perspective, such as the community services support grants was kind of a theme that we discussed last time. We have also begun developing partnerships. I met with Father Martini at St. Joseph's Church to talk about what are ways to collaborate. We are going to continue to extend traditional and digital promotions and work closely with the Santa Barbara County Promotores Network and use paid advertising on Radio Bronco. And with regards to traditional media communications, we have sent out press releases, and we do so on a somewhat regular basis with local news outlet, including the Coastal View News, Santa Barbara Independent, KEYT, Newshawk, Montecito Journal, KCLU, K-Light. Some of the press releases we have included this year have, and hopefully you have seen some, if not most of them, include the Living Shoreline Grant Award, the Monte Vista Dog Park opening, the Age Well Carpinteria programming, the FEMA National Flood Insurance Program, Community Services Support Grant opening, invitations, and new staff announcements. We also have paid campaigns, paid advertisements. So from time to time, you'll see ads in the Coastal View News. That's usually where we place most of our paid advertisements and when we use advertisement dollars. And that tends to just really, really be focused on Carpinteria events or kind of trying to drive people to Carpinteria resources. We did another one about ways to connect with Carpinteria that included the newsletter and the app. And so those the money for that comes from either different programs, so it's already built into the different programs, or if not, it comes from the general fund from the communications budget. And with regard to digital media, as we had mentioned earlier tonight, we have had a contractual relationship with Two Trumpets since 2018. They have been our partner, and we just extended a new contract with them. And as Peter reminds me, Leah has been coming with us to EPIC meetings, which are the Emergency Public Information Communicators meeting, which is where the county discusses best way to promote all the emergency information. So they have been partners with us kind of very deep, even in the planning and understanding and learning how to best put our communications forth. And they helped us to launch and have a huge success with our social media accounts and our newsletter, which was, I don't know if you saw in an earlier slide, it happened to be one of the preferred methods to receive information from survey respondents. And now Leah will present on engagement metrics and effectiveness of communication strategies. So if you're ready, you can take it away.
I also have a tiny spider coming off of my microphone. How weird is that? Okay, sorry.
Did you fill out a speaker slip?
Oh, so many. It's me again. Yep. I am going to try to make this not too long, but also understandable. So if at any point that gets out of balance, please stop me and say either hurry up or I have a question, because there's a lot of data here. This first slide, we are going to talk a little bit. I am going to talk a little bit about graphic design, but I'm going to make sure to not take credit for the graphics here. This is John Wilbrandt's beautiful mural that I just poached for this.
Poached? Is that a technical term?
Yeah. We should be okay with, that's fine. Okay, will you turn the page, please? Thank you. Oh, nope, cuts it off at the bottom. I think that's fine. That should do it. I can, I'll go through. There's some small text later, and I'll try to breeze through it. So I wanted to give some background on the work that we've done with the city. In 2018, early spring, as I recall, Dave Derflinger, then city manager, approached us and said, essentially, you know, the city has just gone through the Thomas Fire and debris flow and come to the conclusion that we need to improve our public outreach and bring it into the 21st century, really. So at that point, we launched a City of Carpinteria Facebook page and also a Nextdoor account. We also, at that point, developed the digital newsletter and began releasing it monthly. Fast forward to 2020, that was a year with a lot of change, much of it driven by the global pandemic, you might recall. As I remember, at some point we were in front of council that year, and council member Lee said, you should start an Instagram page, an Instagram account for the city, and we did, and that has been wildly successful, so thank you. We also increased the frequency of the current to every other week and introduced at that point a Spanish language version. We began providing design services for the city, and that included signage, flyers, advertising, and what should be added there is that we also started to support the city a bit more in writing and editing with press releases, which were suddenly being sent out at a higher volume because of COVID-19. So after 2020, between 2020 and 2024, the only major addition to the platforms that we use to communicate was the addition, with the help of the city's web designer, to add the latest news section on the city homepage, which probably you are familiar with. And that gave us an opportunity to put everything that we, or most of what we put out on social media, on the city website. So members of the public don't have to have Instagram or Facebook to follow everything that we're releasing. They can go straight to that website and see it there. Moving into 2024, and noting that also in that interim, much has changed at the city. If I think back on our communication in 2018, I think about how there were no library posts at that time. There was no Carpinteria Library. There were no Age Well posts. There was no dog park. There was no skate park. The city has had such incredible accomplishments in the last 6 years, and parallel to those accomplishments, we've been communicating about it. So moving forward and trying to be in step with the council's priorities, we want to communicate to the public on the budget and trade-offs that occur with a tight budget. And we want to assess our communication tools and track and report more regularly. So here's kind of numbers to just go along with what I described in words. In 2018, we had 0 Facebook followers. We had 0 Instagram followers. And at that point, the current, we adopted 98 subscribers that as I understand, were part of a kind of an internal city newsletter that existed before the current. So we got to have that as our starting point. We had no Spanish language current at that point, so 0 there. Moving into 2020, our Facebook followers had grown to 658, and we still had not yet launched Instagram. The current subscribers was at 368, and that was the year that we introduced our Spanish language version. 2024, we now have 2,579 Facebook followers, which probably is a little bit more since I sent this to Olivia. Instagram rocketed up to 3,656 followers, surpassing Facebook quickly. We now have 1,300 English subscribers to the current, and then this is the number, the number of Spanish subscribers is the number that we all focus on improving all the time, and was actually something that we really wanted to achieve through the Together We Thrive event, and have learned that it's a challenge. That's a challenging number to bring up, and we are going to continue to work very hard to bring that up. Okie dokie. This is just an example, or these are examples of what we release through social media. These are Instagram posts, so the square. And I think most of the council is active in some form on social media, so you're probably pretty familiar with seeing what we put up. But just to run through these real quickly, we're pushing the app. The community pool is constantly has updates, information to share. Public Works with its twice a month ABOP. And then this one on the top right corner is an example of how we work in step with the county. Olivia and I pay very close attention to what the county's doing, and as soon as they post flood watches, evacuation warnings, we are right in step with that to then share that material. It's an effort to maintain consistency throughout the county to share the same graphics. But then what we do is we tailor the caption information to any sort of CARP-specific news that we might be able to share. Lots of hiring. See that in the bottom corner. It was a lot of fun to announce that the grant applications were open. The next one, city council meetings. That graphic is used over and over again. I hope that people are very clear that when they see that cup of coffee right there, it means there's a city council meeting, and pay attention to the date. And then Malibu, I'm going to make a plug for Malibu because this guy really needs a home, and we're pushing this on social media, and I'm going to push it right here. He seems very sweet. So anyone out there in the land of television or whoever might be watching this, adopt Malibu, please. Okay. These are examples of photos from events and proclamations, obviously, self-explanatory. But this is a big part of what we enjoy doing for the city is really trumpeting, if I may, the great events, the great programs that are happening, and putting lots of smiling faces out there. So we've got, the ribbon cutting at the skate park there. We've got a junior lifeguards competition, and then proclamation after proclamation. This slide is meant to demonstrate sort of special campaigns, special outreach efforts that we've been involved in. Those top two on the left are both signs that were put out throughout town on sandwich boards, and there were several others during the pandemic. And we worked with the COVID-19 Communications Committee closely to get these drafted and approved, and it was an effort to make sure we're informing people whether they're on social media, getting digital communication or not. And then some other campaigns. So we worked hard to get people to shop locally, even when shopping was really, really hard and businesses were really struggling. That's that lower left-hand corner one. And then, of course, support for encouraging vaccinations. And then another, the Show Your Love up here in the middle with Diana Rigby. That was another campaign to promote shopping local. And probably most of you have seen the banners that go up now annually in town. That was part of that effort. And Leash Up Pickup, encouraging pet owners to be responsible. Bike Safe Carp, encouraging safe biking, both e-bikes and regular bikes. And then we worked on a lot of outreach materials for collecting the public's feedback, opinion on districting. So that's that. Okay, this one, there's a lot of little writing here, which you don't need to read. What I want to point out to you is that these are posts, and Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, produces this. So it's 2024's top post performance. And the top row is all Facebook posts, and the bottom row is all Instagram posts. And that left-hand column is the highest reach on a post, meaning the greatest number of people that were reached that saw that post. That middle column is the highest number of reactions, and then the right one is the highest comments on a post. So just quickly to give you kind of anecdotally an idea of what posts, I don't want to say people enjoy the most, but they're the most highly seen. The berm came down, and everybody is interested in the beach. It doesn't really matter what we put up. If it's a beach, if it's something related to the beach, people are interested in it. So the berm came down, and that was the highest reach on a post for Facebook. For Instagram, the highest reach on a post in 2024 has been an evacuation order, which I'm not sure why the berm coming down is more important to people on Facebook than an evacuation order, but such is life. That's the way that it worked. Highest reactions, we announced that Francisco Morales was hired to be part of the Public Works crew, and he got the highest reactions on a post for Facebook. Likewise, when Jenna was announced as our program manager for Age Well, she received the highest likes on a post for Instagram. And then comments, when the city started implementing a surcharge for credit card payments, it got a lot of comments. And as you can imagine, not all of them were joyful comments. But they were all joyful when Jenna got hired, and lots of people commented on how happy they were about that. So quickly back to that other one, my takeaway here is that if we ever have big news that we want to share, we just need to put a picture of Francisco and Jenna, and then whatever the news is underneath that. Okay. These are a little tricky to dissect. So 2 graphs, one shows reach, one shows engagement. The one on the left shows reach, the one on the right shows engagement. The bar on the right shows the last 90 days. The bar on the left shows the 90 days prior to that. So this I want to use in part to illustrate how relying on metrics to demonstrate, the strengths or the weaknesses in our communication efforts is very tricky, and we want to proceed with caution, I think. And that's because the information that we put out, it's not marketing a product. It's not a company that's trying to continuously grow its reach necessarily, because a lot of what gets the highest reach is the kind of thing that we don't want to happen, disasters and credit card surcharges. These are not necessarily the things that we want to say, okay, this is a successful program because we're showing growth here. So an example is this post reach on the graph on the left shows that the post reach is down for the last 90 days from the 90 days prior, and that's explained by the 90 days prior having more storms and more material that the public really needs to be paying close attention to. So that's sort of an explanation for why we can't always expect an uptick every quarter in reach, for example. Okay, this one's kind of interesting. This shows year to date Facebook reach and engagement, and you see those dramatic drops in percentages. If you can, they're in kind of small text. But the reason that those are so large is because this is comparing 2024 year to date to all of 2023. So my expectation is that when we get to the end of 2024, all of those will be positive values in terms of percentages. But what I really wanted to show you in this is that with Facebook, we see these big spikes in reach. And that's specific to Facebook. I'm going to show you the same slide for Instagram, and you're going to see that it's a lot more like a continuous up and down. And those spikes are due to sharing, really. So Facebook allows you to share posts, and that means that when somebody shares our post, which frequently our posts are shared, but if a lot of people share our posts, we get a much higher reach to that. So if you look at those two highest peaks, and then if you'll flip to the next slide, Olivia, these are the posts from those two highest peaks. And like I said before, the beach is a very hot topic. So in this case, the beach's webcam was down for a while, and when we announced that the webcam was back up, whatever that is, 81 people reacted positively, 13 shares were made for that post. And it's, clearly not the world's best photo, but it's a screenshot of the beach cam, and people saw it and shared it. It's the kind of information they really want. Similarly, we put up a flagpole at El Caro, and it has a cool avocado on the top, and people loved it, and they liked it a lot, and they commented on it, and they shared it a lot. So I think that's pretty interesting that in all of 2024, these are the two Facebook posts that have gained the most traction for the city. Now, this is the same two graphs for Instagram, and you'll see big drops between the last 90 days and the 90 days prior. So again, I want to caution us from thinking something has gone wrong in these most recent 90 days. The explanation again is that there were hotter topics in the 90 days prior, and those were probably mostly storms. If you'll move forward, thank you. Okay, so this is again the same graph, and like I said, we're seeing lots of up and down movement, no big spikes. But I did isolate the two highest peaks there, and if you'll move forward one slide, Olivia. On February 3rd, we put out two posts, and one was an evacuation order, and one was a notice of the Planning Commission meeting to discuss the Suncoast rental development. And combined, those two posts were a very hot day. So lots of likes for both of them. And then the other peak is from February 18th, when we announced that the Water District was rehabbing the well at El Caro Park. And that was also apparently really interesting to people. Okay, wrapping up with just kind of a summary of the newsletter. As mentioned, it's emailed every other week. There's an English edition and a Spanish edition. The English open rate is between 72 and 74%, which is a nice small window, and that's very consistent. The open rate for the Spanish language version is between 55 and 70%. It's a much wider range because there's only 29 subscribers. So if two people open it or don't open it, it sways that quite a bit. So I think I just gave you a lot of information, and I'm very open to going back and answering questions, but that's what we're doing every day.
Any questions?
So
you answered it all.
I don't know if there's questions specifically about the digital media. Otherwise, that kind of concludes our presentation, and then we can talk about just the recommendations about subsequent events, and that would be our full presentation.
So I don't have any questions for Leah. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciated that. It seems like a lot happened in February. A lot of those hot posts happened then. Some ideas or thoughts in terms of events that we may be able to participate in. I know you mentioned you spoke with Father Martini, and I had a little aha moment, because I think it would be nice to, similar to what you all did for the Avocado Festival, is have a booth at the St. Joseph's Fair. And I think that might be a really great event to increase the newsletter subscriptions. And then I know there's also National Night Out, so I'm wondering if there's a way to leverage that. And then at one point in time, this may have been before I was on the council, but I really like the idea, and I know Goleta, the city of Goleta does it. They do a very long table, and everyone goes and has dinner at this very long community table. It may have happened in 2020 or 2019. So those are just some thoughts.
And, okay, some thoughts too, not kind of different take, but so in terms of potential themes, Olivia, you had asked for events. I thought maybe one about volunteering in Carpinteria, because there's a lot of volunteer opportunities and people are very active in that area. Maybe one on housing support and resources, since that seems to be a very big topic. And then maybe environmental stewardship. And I know the neighbor-to-neighbor one was about disaster preparedness, but it feels like that's an issue that continues to just get more important and impactful every year. So those are some themes. Then dates, I was maybe fall, like during back-to-school time. We could look around that time. We might be able to reach a lot of families that are kind of gearing up for school. And then locations, Linden Field, Linden Plaza, down at where the beach starts, and then the parks like Memorial Park or El Caro Park. I thought those were some potential options.
I think they're all great ideas. I really like the St. Joe's Festival, having booth there. They can reach out to the Hispanic community. I wanted something consistent, either beginning or end of the month, that each of us reach out to the community or be available and accessible. To what extent, that's up to each of one of us, but just be out there and be more visible, because I know a lot of people don't even know who the council members are, and we have to change that. So, great idea, so.
Thank you. Anybody else? These are all great, and we can work with some of these.
And Olivia, I know you had said that because it's the election year, that it's not going to be district specific, but can we still be involved in the planning and help out? And
Yeah, absolutely. That would be wonderful.
I really enjoyed it last time, and I would love to help wherever it ends up being and whatever the theme ends up being.
Yeah, and it was so great because then the council is invested, and so it brings a very different energy. Thank you. And now the motion, the staff recommendation is to receive and file the 2024 Community Promotions and Communication Program Report, including the suggestions made by council.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, a roll call, or we'll have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment?
Public comment.
Yeah.
Public comment. Come on up, Fred.
Mayor, council, staff, two things speaking to your suggestions. Number one, I believe it was Supervisor Laura Capp's brother who did the long table idea for dinner about, Wade, you might remember, and I'm sure Leah, you do, what was it, 7, 8 years ago? Something like that. And that seemed to work very well. And to Roy's comment about your various council members meeting with people, I believe it was before my time on council, Mayor Weinberg used to do coffee with the mayor once a month at one of the local coffee shops. I think it's a great idea for the various council members to do that, just so that the people in their district and in the city can meet with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Any other comments from the public?
Hi, Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident. The school board agenda for many years has everybody's name on the agenda, meaning the superintendent and the 5 school board members. I think that's something that we can start with, because I've been going through it, and I don't see your names. Actually, well, we know who you are, but let's say that people who come for the first time, and they read the agenda, and for example, it says city manager's report, but we don't see a name. I think that this is the first step to reach out to people. And I remember for years, many years, as a board member, I would go to a public place just by myself, in this case, McDonald's, and I would spend there 2-3 hours drinking coffee, probably 3-4 cups of coffee, but talking to people. Because it's incredible the amount of people that show up, people that you know, and people that you haven't seen in a long, long time. Or I even talk to people who you know, just to ask them about their concerns and how I could help them out. I think that's an idea. That's probably something that you can do, either individually or in groups of 2. These are just ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything on legislative update? Excuse me. Committee reports?
So MTD met last week and approved their service plan for FY 24-25, and then they also did their third quarter review of the fiscal year. Then Beacon is going to be meeting this Friday in the morning, and the Sustainability Committee is going to be meeting tomorrow morning, and then Harbor Seal Advisory is going to be meeting on the 22nd.
Okay. Attendance at future meetings?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, then we'll...
Before you adjourn?
Yeah.
Quick comment. I'd like to close this meeting in memory of Dick Weinberg, Mayor, who passed away today, from what I understand.
Oh, I hadn't even heard that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll do that. We'll close this meeting in honor of Dick Weinberg, who was prior mayor, city council member of the community.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. Good night. Thank you for coming.